Yeah, I mean, we've always got on really well. Like we used to go out together, we used to do things on the weekends, stuff like that, and then he just sort of disappeared.
So when he came home,
Yeah.
like what were things like then?
He was inviting lots of people around. My mum and dad were getting really angry. They noticed stuff of theirs going, and they thought that people were taking it, but it was actually selling it for money.
Yeah. When was the first point that you realised that cannabis had become an issue for your brother?
I think we all knew that he was doing drugs and smoking a lot of weed, and then it got to a point. He went to summer solstice a couple of years ago, and then he just didn't come home for a couple of weeks. He started getting in trouble with the police, but it started with him just not coming home.
Okay.
Basically.
When it developed, how serious did you notice his problems getting? I mean, in his relationships with you and your parents and your sister.
There was one incident where we had to call the police to the house. He'd started getting really violent from, like, when he was really stoned, he'd get really, really violent. And there was one point where I came home from work and my mum was just screaming, and I went in there. It was just awful. Like, he pinned me up against the door before I managed to get out. He had a knife to my mum's throat, and he punched my dad in the ribs, and he was on the floor. It was a massive blur, and I called the police. They were around in a second. And then none of us wanted to press charges or anything against him, obviously, because it's my brother.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was like, whoa, we need to do something. And then after that, they signed him up for the Priory in Southampton for rehab.